Today I'm going to show you that any melody note can harmonize with any bass note. I'm also going to show you how you can figure this out on your own because that's more valuable to you as a musician than just memorizing stuff. You may have heard this idea before, and while it's true in theory, it doesn't mean you can just play whatever you want all the time and convince an audience that what you played was not just a bunch of mistakes. But nevertheless, it's fun to explore, and it opens a lot of doors for you if you're a composer. So you can approach this in two ways. You can pick any melody note over a consistent bass note, or you can keep a consistent melody note and pick any bass note. Either way works, as long as one note stays the same. This is just to demonstrate what's possible for any pair of notes. I think it will be easier to demonstrate if I keep a constant bass note, so I'm going to do that. We'll use C as our bass note because why wouldn't we? So let's just run up the octave and pair it with every other note. We'll just see what chords we can come up with. C and D flat. The question you have to ask is, what is D flat to C? It's a minor second above C, which makes for some crunchy harmonization. It's better to think in terms of stacked thirds when looking for possible harmonies, so let's bump D flat up an octave to make it a minor ninth. Now you ask yourself, what chord has a minor ninth above the root? Well, the most obvious choice is a dominant ninth chord, so here we could do a C7 flat 9. You could also do some kind of slash chord like G flat major over C. Let's not hang ourselves up on it though. C and D. Same deal if we bump D up an octave to be a major ninth above C. A dominant ninth chord would be an obvious choice. You could also do C add 9, which is just a C major triad with a ninth added. C and E flat. E flat is a minor third above C, so literally any kind of C minor chord is possible here. You can go crazy with added sevenths, ninths, 11ths. You can also do any kind of diminished chord, triad or not. C and E. Literally any kind of C major chord. C major 7, C7. I didn't mention this on the previous pair, but C doesn't necessarily have to be the root of the chord. What if it's the third and E is the fifth? Then we're working with some kind of A minor chord in first inversion. Moving on. C and F. F is a perfect fourth, or a perfect 11th, above C. A sus4 chord is a strong choice, depending on where we're coming from. You could also do like C minor 11. C and G flat. Tritone interval. Lots of possibilities here. Most of them some kind of dominant harmony. Diminished chords too, of course. C diminished triad. C minor 7 flat 5. Maybe A flat 7 in first inversion. And so on. C and G. Tons of really basic possibilities. This isn't a reach at all. Perfect fifths are all over the place. C major, C minor, any extensions of those. C and A flat. This one is a little weirder. It could be an A flat major chord in first inversion, or it could be some kind of flat 13 chord. Something with C as the root with a flat 13 added, probably a dominant chord. In this case, you would probably leave out the 11th. C and A. A minor in first inversion. C and B flat. C7 is the obvious choice here. You could also do like an inverted sus2 chord. C and B. C major 7 is the obvious choice. And of course, any possible extensions of that. And there you go. That's every interval harmonized in some way. I barely scratched the surface here. Most of those chords I went with were my first instinct. You can go way more out there than this. To figure out the possibilities on your own, you have to assign each note a role in the prospective harmony you're going to create. For most of those, I called C the root. What if it's the third of the chord? Now you're dealing with something in first inversion. With C and B, if C is the third, B is now the ninth, and your root has to be A. So A minor 9 in first inversion. It's just a matter of determining the relationship and then filling in the gaps. Now when it comes to a real situation, stringing together chords that work on their own to harmonize a basic melody will quote-unquote work, but you have to be conscious of the musical effect you're creating. If your goal was to harmonize a melody with a bunch of random, unrelated chords, it's going to sound like you harmonized the melody with a bunch of random unrelated chords. It's possible to get kind of out there with how you're harmonizing your melody and still produce something that has a clear dramatic flow. You want to be aware of the dramatic arc of the melody and let your harmonic choices complement that, whether you're using chords that are firmly within the key you're in or not. So you might be thinking, why would I want to do this? Auld Lang Syne is fine with the chords people usually play it with. Why would I want to change it and make it sound weird? I'm not telling you that you should. I did it as an arranging exercise and it was fun and interesting to me. But you shouldn't feel shy or repulsed by this kind of outside the box approach because it happens around you all the time. If you want to hear what I mean, go listen to Lady Gaga's performance of the Star-Spangled Banner at the inauguration this year. It's got reharmonizations all over the place, but it works very well and makes it interesting. There's all manner of stuff like this out there, and it's a great way to put a fresh spin on an existing idea. So, know what's possible, be inventive, but always trust what your ears are telling you. I hope that opened up some ideas for you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.